Hi and welcome to my page on the counselling directory and therapist website. Well done for getting here if it's your first time for visiting. It's not always an easy thing to do. And I imagine that as you've looked through the huge list of names and numbers on that website, it can be very confusing. And I suspect if you're on here looking for support right now, that's not always the easiest thing to do. Um, I know it wasn't for me when I needed help some years ago, and I used the counselling directory too. However, what you'll find is a whole array of different people of different age and stage and so forth and background, and ultimately you've got to choose between all of that lot in terms of who you prefer to work with. I think it's really important that you make the right choice for yourself, and part of my work is as a therapist is to help you make that choice before we can start to get into the work of discovery and recovery. So I imagine that you need some support right now. It could be for one or a number of different things. For my own part, the majority of clients that I work with are at the moment struggling with the likes of depression, anxiety, sometimes OCD. I do a lot of work with relationship issues, with problems at work, sometimes with bullying. Sometimes you just don't feel right. Sometimes we just don't feel happy in our lives on a daily basis. And if that's the case, then it's time to come and look for some additional support and help. And you'll find it here with me should you choose to come and work with me. And I say work with me because you're not alone in this and you're not alone in your struggle. We work as partners. I'll support you on your journey back to a better place and a better space. But it's a gradual process. I'll take the time to sit, to listen, to process what's going on for you. And while you're telling me that, you'll probably find over the course of time that it becomes easier to express what your problems and issues and difficulties are, knowing that you'll never be judged here. There's not much I haven't heard. And the main thing is that you're looking for support now. So you're already taking some control back, and that you're expressing yourself and knowing that you've got choices and options. Sometimes when we're really feeling low, we feel we've got no choice, and that's when things can become difficult. Here at Simon Coombs Consulting, you'll get to understand that you have a lot of choice, more than you perhaps realise. But it's in sitting down in a private, safe space where you can express exactly how you're feeling to somebody that you don't know, that you will start to feel better and start to be able to move forward step by step, a little bit at a time, you know. Sometimes people during the course of their sessions make huge strides very, very early on, and that's fantastic. But for the majority of people, it's an evolutionary thing. We talk about lots of things. We'll talk about the here and now, how things are for you now, and what difficulties you're facing. We'll also talk about the past. We'll talk about your story from the egg. Okay, so I always do a client history to get an understanding of what's been going on for you right from the get-go. Because often there are clues as to how you're feeling now in terms of what happened and what has happened to you in the past. You'll know that, but interestingly enough, many clients come and see me, and they will say when we go through that process that there's so much stuff they've forgotten about, and sometimes when we shine a light on that stuff, it can make a huge difference to you in terms of your recovery and moving forward. So that's how we would organise our sessions together. Those sessions always last an hour. Okay, some therapists go for what they call a clinical 50 minutes. I don't understand that myself, so it was always an hour for me, so it should always be an hour for you guys. Ordinarily on a weekly or a fortnightly basis. Sometimes that's driven by cost, that decision making, but generally speaking, it's down to the client in terms of how they feel, and often a weekly basis is better, especially if it's over a shorter period. Session numbers, ordinarily it's about 6. Some clients will have a number more than that. Some can make great strides in less than 6. If you go on the NHS and you have CBT, 6 is what you'll get. Let's talk a little bit about the type of therapy that you can have here. Okay, so we can work with counselling, with psychotherapy, and with cognitive behavioural therapy, which you'll know or may not know is termed as CBT. And that's generally what you're offered if you go to see your GP and they want to make a referral, and you might end up waiting for a number of months. You'll be offered all of that mixed in as a blend here, and it really is a matter of what suits you. So you can read everything that I've done, everything that I do on my page, but in a nutshell, if we take a counselling approach, that's really about processing, listening, understanding what's going on for you now. Okay, if we take a psychotherapy approach, that looks a little bit more into the past and works with some of the sticking points of the past that you may be struggling to get through, and they're the things that impact on what you're doing now in the here and now, and also in the future. If you're looking at CBT, that's a more measured approach. That's where we look at the strength of beliefs, negative beliefs, and your own self-talk sometimes. So when we're looking at things like panic attacks, anxiety, that kind of thing, okay, we can use CBT to work through some of that stuff. But the nice thing about what I offer here for you is that we'll find out as we go along. So there's no prescribed formula approach. Everybody's different. Everyone has their own processing that they need to make, and they do that in their own special and unique way. That's why I don't say I just do the one thing, okay? I also offer a more specialised form of CBT called EMDR. That involves itself with post-traumatic stress disorder, that kind of thing. So that's available as well. That really depends on the nature of what you as a client will bring along into your sessions, okay? But it's a joined up approach. We'll share information around what's going on and what's available, and then we'll make some decisions about how we want to use that time together, and then we'll crack on with it and we'll do it, okay? As I said, weekly or fortnightly sessions. They're normally available here locally in my practice, and that's whether I'm running out of my first base here in Torbay in South West, or my other base, which is up in Surrey. So in Surrey, I look around the areas of Redhill, Reigate, Dorking, Hawley, Horsham and Crawley. They're the main areas in Surrey. Here in the South West, in Torbay, it's Torquay, Newton Abbot, Brixham, sometimes as far as Plymouth and up as far as Exeter. Okay, I have private spaces in all of those places where we can engage. Okay, during the day or in the early evening. For those of you that are unsure about whether you can physically make sessions all the time, I also offer FaceTime and Skype. Okay, we can do that, and sometimes telephone if it's necessary as well. Okay. One key thing for you is in making your decision is going to be cost, as well as who you might like the look of on the counselling directory. Okay, so standard cost to work with me is £40 per session. Okay, I do offer some concessions depending on where you're at, whether or not you're working and so forth, but ordinarily it's £40 a session. And if we do more than 6, if we do longer, we can look at some concessions on that. Price is important, but what I would say when it comes to cost is to think of it this way, okay? At the end of the day, this is about your mental health and well-being. So how much are you prepared, and how much can you be prepared to pay and invest in your mental health and well-being? Because that's what it's really all about. Your quality of life, what does that mean? How much is that worth to you? What are you spending your other disposable income on? Whether it's going out, eating out, holidays, clothes, whatever it might be. And you deserve those things. But remember that primarily, if you're unhappy, none of those things really count. So when you're thinking about your choice, think about the cost. Think about who you might prefer to work with. That's why I've done a slightly longer video for the counselling directory, so you can get a flavour of what it might be like to work with me. Very much like to hear from you. I'm contactable either on the telephone numbers that you'll see on the page, or on the email address. I'll get back to you promptly. Ordinarily, we'll have a probably a 20-minute conversation on the phone or via this sort of media if you wish, so you can ask any questions and so on. And then I will send over a document, a form for you just to fill out and give me a sense of what's going on for you there and what your expectations might be. Failing that, you can contact me on the telephone, and we can arrange potentially to have a brief meeting, an introductory meeting. But I'm hoping that this short video will give you a flavour of what you might expect. And as I said, good luck on your journey. I very much hope that you choose to come and work with me, and I wish you all the best, and I wish you well. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.